Hello, this is the BBC News with Fiona MacDonald. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says a Russian missile strike on a rail station has killed 22 people. Speaking to the UN Security Council earlier, Mr Zelensky said about 50 others had been wounded. Rory Gallimore reports.
In a video address, Mr Zelensky said 4 carriages were on fire at the station in eastern Ukraine and warned the number of casualties could rise. His foreign minister has shared unverified pictures of twisted wreckage at the scene. Wednesday marks exactly 6 months since the start of Russia's invasion and also happens to be Ukraine's annual Independence Day. Mr Zelensky had previously said Russia might do something cruel to disrupt the celebrations. In April, a missile attack on another railway station in the town of Kramatorsk killed at least 57 people. The Kremlin has always denied targeting civilian infrastructure.
US military officials said their forces carried out another round of airstrikes in eastern Syria, the latest in a series of actions targeting groups linked to Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guard. This is a continuation of military strikes ordered by President Biden on Tuesday at multiple facilities in Syria, which the Pentagon says were used by Iran-aligned groups to target the US and its coalition partners. Sanjay Dasgupta reports.
A spokesman for the US Central Command said Wednesday's strikes were necessary to protect American personnel. The monitoring group, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, said the airstrikes targeted the Ayash camp in Deir ez-Zor, run by Shia fighters. Deir ez-Zor is a strategically important Syrian province that borders Iraq. About 1,000 US soldiers are operating out of military bases there, as part of a global coalition against the Islamic State group. Iran routinely denies arming militia groups targeting US forces, despite evidence of weaponry linking back to them.
Ethiopia's Air Force says it shot down a plane carrying weapons for the rebel Tigray People's Liberation Front after it encroached on the country's airspace. It said the plane belonged to historical enemies of Ethiopia. A spokesman for the TPLF described the allegation as a blatant lie. Earlier, fighting between the Tigrayan rebels and government forces erupted in northern Ethiopia. Here's Kalka Daniel Beltal.
For close to 5 months, we haven't seen active fighting on both sides, and we have seen relative peace and calm in those areas. But now that seems to have gone away because both sides have confirmed fighting. Both are blaming each other as to have first fired the shots. We understand that these fighting currently are happening along Tigray's southern border with Amhara, and it seems that they are happening in quite a number of fronts or quite a number of villages along these lines. But other than that, details are sketchy, but it seems that we are seeing the reigniting of this brutal civil war.
BBC News. President Biden says his administration will cancel up to $10,000 of student debt for millions of Americans. It fulfills a campaign promise he's been under huge pressure to keep. From Washington, Nomia Iqbal reports.
If his plan survives legal challenges, Americans who earn less than $125,000 each year will have up to $10,000 in federal student loans forgiven. Those who received Pell Grants to go to university, which are given to poorer students, will be eligible for double that figure. It falls short of what some of Mr Biden's Democratic Party members wanted, but they've called it a giant step forward in addressing the student debt crisis. Republicans say it's unfair to transfer the cost of debt forgiveness to taxpayers, many who have either paid their loans or didn't go to university.
Germany's public buildings are to become cooler and its streets darker this winter under new plans to save energy. Gas supplies to the country from Russia have been drastically reduced, and the German government hopes the new measures can cut consumption by at least 2%. The authorities in the Netherlands have announced an investigation into the death of a 3-month-old baby who's died in an emergency shelter for asylum seekers. The baby died in a village in the north of the country. The Netherlands is in the grip of a refugee crisis, with hundreds of people forced to sleep outside the official reception centre in the village. Finland's Prime Minister has once again defended her ability to carry out her duties after more images emerged of parties she'd attended. Sanna Marin was criticised by some opposition politicians when video footage circulated showing her dancing enthusiastically with celebrities and friends. This week, still photographs were published which show 2 women at a party in the Prime Minister's official residence. They appear to be kissing with their T-shirts pulled up. And that's the latest BBC News.